This is Sam and Lijon's musical mentor project. Our musical mentor is Carl Leister. Carl Leister was born on June 15, 1937 in Wilhelmshaven, which is a coastal town in Germany. His clarinet inspiration mostly came out of his father, who was also a clarinetist, and he received his first musical lesson from his father. Carl studied at the Hochschule für Musik in Berlin from 1953 to 1956. He became a member of the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra in 1959 and stayed in that position for more than 3 decades. He accepted the professorship at the Hochschule für Musik in 1994 and retired in 2002. He was a teacher teaching mostly clarinet and funded the Chamber Ensemble Berlin Soloist in 1986, which is a group with members coming from prestigious universities and orchestral groups. Being a soloist, he strongly identifies with Mozart, Weber, and Spohr, and many other classical composers. He mostly performs classical concertos and chamber pieces. He has performed with many of the leading pianist, string player, and singer on the international scenes. He made over 100 recordings for different labeling companies such as Teldec, Sony Classic, EMI, etc. To this day, he still remains active as a soloist and also as a chamber musician. Now, we will listen to Clarinet Concerto in A major. But before we do that, let me give you a little bit of background information about this song. This is Mozart's Clarinet Concerto in A major, Movement 1, Allegro, by Carl Leister. Carl Leister is a musician that plays classical music. To be more specific, chamber music. Classical music are musics that are produced in the tradition of Western music. Classical music are usually composed from the 1550s all the way to 1900, which is called the Common Practice era, which includes Baroque, Classical, and Romantic period. There are many different characteristics when it comes to describing classical music, but you can classify whether or not a composition is a classical music or not by looking at its form. There are many different forms of classical music, such as concerto, symphony, sonata, etude, opera, and many more. And most of the forms are used only for classical music. Chamber music is a form of classical music that is performed by a small group of people. Usually the number of people that can fit in a palace chamber, consisting of less than 40 players. In this kind of music, every single person is assigned a different part, but it usually does not include or have any soloists, and each instrument plays an equally important role. Clarinet Concerto in A major was written in 1791 for the clarinetist Anton Stadler. It consists of 3 movements, which are allegro, adagio, and rondo in a fast, slow, fast form. It was one of Mozart's final work and Mozart's final purely instrumental work. The concerto is well known for its meticulous interplay between the orchestra and the soloist, and in a clarinet concerto, the soloist is a clarinetist. The concerto is in A major. It is number 622 in the Verzeichnis, which is a book with Mozart's composition in chronological order.
In the first movement called Allegro, the band started the movement by bringing out the joyful and enlightening mood of this piece. Kerr, as expected, played the main melody of this movement. His part in this is mostly in the higher range, which expresses his mastery and his capability in the higher range. The tone is really strong and clear. His articulations are perfectly timed and his staccatos are played clearly despite the faster tempo, carrying out a really melodious and rhythmic piece of music. The sounds coming out of his clarinet is not flat at all, his notes jumping around in active, lively following by some trios which expresses his clean tone, fast speed, and his light-toned articulations.
Now you will hear the second movement of Clarinet Concerto in A major. Movement 2, Adagio.
The second movement, Adagio, is in rounded binary form, otherwise known as the APA form. It is the slow movement in the clarinet concerto. The sounds coming out of the clarinet is stable. The notes are really full and gentle. He plays in the high range and low range, accompanied by the band. Although some notes are really high, they are not straightened. The sounds coming out of his clarinet are sometimes resonant and sometimes reedy, which gives the clarinet concerto shaping and carry out wonderful tones and sounds. Although some of the notes are really low and lengthy, he carried out the melody with the notes without being brassy. His articulation are smooth as always in this movement.
Thank you for listening to our presentation about Carl Lister. We hope you enjoyed it.